Well, cheers.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Should we talk about our kids?
Oh, that's why we're here, huh?
Well, I mean, we're parents. Isn't that all parents ever do?
Oh my gosh.
Let's talk about their kids. There's a lot of discussion, certainly with you specifically,
Yeah.
but in general about relationships and how, who's dating who and this, that, and the other. And I
Yeah.
think somewhere we lose sight of the fact that we're having relationships.
Yeah.
And as parents, it's maybe the most important relationship we have. And so how do we model, what is our job as parents in raising these kids?
I know through my experience over this past year, all I thought almost all the time was what's best for Ty.
Yeah.
Always, what's best for Ty. Ty's still young, he's only 4, and I've always felt like it's a challenging role because I feel like it's a combination of being a mentor, a parent, and a friend. And what's the right balance? And I think the right balance for every kid's probably different.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know that I want to be a mentor, and so he looks at me kind of as an authority figure, and he's going to listen to me. But I also want him to be able to tell me everything that's going on. And I think you got to start teaching that at a young age. And I don't think that, I know that there's a lot of people in my life that won't talk to their parents about certain subjects. How do you get to a point where he's going to take all those things and say, yes, I'm going to listen to my dad, but yes, but I'm still going to tell him everything.
Right.
And that's a challenge I face all the time.
My daughter's 10, so she's older than Ty.
Yeah.
But for me, the challenge has always been to present myself as fully human. And so
Yeah.
I think there was a time, certainly in the media, if you look at shows like Leave It to Beaver or Father Knows Best, where there's this assumption that parents are perfect
Right.
and infallible. And I think that that's really dangerous because I think it teaches kids that they have to be perfect and infallible also, which instills them with a sort of shame.
I get it. Because yesterday I took Ty to the driving range, and I can go to the driving range and hit golf balls, and I'll hit them sideways, or any which way. But if he swings and misses, he gets upset with himself. And I've tried to tell him, and I'm trying to say, listen, even Tiger Woods doesn't even hit it where he wants all the time. He doesn't win every single time.
But we don't see those examples. We only see Tiger Woods getting the hole in one.
So how do you really teach them that it's okay to fail? It's your own critical thinking.
Yeah.
And I think it's a challenge that all of us face, and it's a balance that's different for every kid. I guess that's what the thing to me is if you really truly believe you're doing the best of your ability.
Right.
And I think there's times where we know as parents where I know I could get back from a long day's work and I'm like, Ty, just seriously sit down and watch whatever's on TV. And sometimes that's okay, sometimes it's not okay, but only in our gut we know if we're doing the right thing. And we can only really answer those questions.
Did you swear that you wouldn't let your kid watch TV ever?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
No TV. There will be no TV for my kid.
And I think the balance, I was actually talking to his pediatrician about this the other day, and I'm like, so what's the truth, as far as TV, video games?
Love the TV.
He said, well, but it's true, but he's like, listen, as long as you monitor the screen time, what's the right monitor? He's like, I don't know, an hour or 2 hours, what's right? Nobody really knows what's right.
One of the things I think about as a parent is we have all these ideas of what it means to be successful and to work hard and all of this. So finding that balance is really hard, even if you have 2 parents.
Yeah.
You were in a really different situation and are interested in helping people, specifically who are single parents. How do you balance that?
There's a group of people that, single parents out there that I really identify with. And to me, you could define single parent any way you want. It doesn't matter if your spouse passed away and unexpectedly and you've got 3 or 4 kids on your own, or if you're a dad that only has your kids every other weekend. We all have issues. And it's literally on day one, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know emotionally I was hurt. I didn't know who to turn to. I wanted to find a group of people that I could talk and connect with that was going through it at the same time. I wanted to talk to somebody who had been through it years before, and just to say it was okay. And I wanted to hear some funny stories and some war stories, or something that I would know that we're going to get through all this. And that's where it came from. I really think that there's a need out there, and the numbers say that there's 15 million single parents around the U.S. right now, and growing by 1 million every year, but I think that's a fraction of what it is.
One of the biggest myths of parenthood is this concept of selflessness. Selflessness doesn't work because eventually you just deplete yourself, and once you do that, you have nothing to give to your partner, your coworkers, your kids, or yourself.
The first 3 years that I was kind of on my own, and when my ex left, I sacrificed every single thing in my life for Ty. It didn't matter if it was my friends or my work or my nutrition or the things that I was always so used to, and I don't regret that at all, but I think he probably sees that a little bit. And to teach him, that that I'm going to take care of myself, and in turn, he's going to be better off because of that.
You talked about how you become a single parent, but I think that if a relationship ends for whatever reason, you're then saddled with sort of guilt and anger. My question is, how do we as parents teach our children to not address it with hate or with anger, but instead with trusting that it was the best thing for everyone.
What happened to me when my ex left me, I knew that deep down it was the best thing for everybody.
Right.
But it was the hardest thing to face, and you can sit there and be angry. And I think anybody who's going to be watching this or like thinking about this, we all know the worst feeling in the world is living with anger. But it doesn't do any good for anybody.
No.
So I think that what's most important is if you get to a place, let's say where you have to co-parent, you know, where you're dealing with,
Where you get to co-parent.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good thing. Yeah.
Which is a really good thing.
Yeah.
You know, because you get to teach your children a lesson in a whole different way.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not an easy thing, but if you sit there and say, I don't want to see my ex, like I have to see him once a month to exchange, you know, to do a drop off or something like that, and I'm just going to be pissed off anyways, or if it's once a week, whatever that is.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you teaching your kid?
You're teaching them to hang on to anger.
If a marriage is splitting up, and we were talking about this before, of course I think what's right is to try to make it work, because that's why you got married in the first place. But if it's not working, it's not right to stay together just for the sake of staying together, because what is that showing to anybody? And it's not always the easy thing to do. I mean, is it right to kind of sit down and swallow your pride, or is it right to say, you know what, I'm going to have to go through something that's really tough, but I'm going to be so much better after?
Which you did rather publicly.
Yeah. You know, the basis was that my heart was somewhere else, and I had to do something that was going to hurt somebody.
And you had to follow it.
And I had to follow it. And I think in the end, you know, in my situation or everybody else's situation that might go through something similar to that, it works out the best for everybody. It's like raising your kid. It's like there's black and there's white, but you know, we all live in this gray area.
It's all gray.
Yeah. And how do you make it through the fog? You know, that's what we're all trying to do.
I think you have to be your own lighthouse, right?
Yeah.
You have to be your own lighthouse. But we present things to our kids as if there's these certain hard and steadfast rules, and the truth is, as you said, it's all kind of gray.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that teaching children how to think and make decisions does them a whole lot. It's a much greater service than teaching them rules.
There's this guy over in Kirkland that's got this chess foundation, right? And the whole idea, you know, chess is cool and everything.
Chess.
But the whole idea behind it is teaching kids how to critically think.
Yeah.
You know, forget the rest of it, forget the game, but how do we get to the point where that's happening?
I think teaching kids how to think and tackle issues and tackle problems is just a lost art.